The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers or Rogers TV.
Welcome to Left and Right. In most modern societies, civil liberties are things we take for granted, from freedom of religion, freedom of expression, to the Americans' freedom to bear arms. Civil liberties are generally a given in a democratic and modern society. But when do these rights actually present a problem when it comes to morality or common safety? In this edition, we discuss civil liberties. I'm Michael A. Charbon, and this is Left and Right. Welcome to Left and Right. My name is Michael A. Charbon. Today we're talking about civil liberties. I'm joined by two guests in studio today. Mr. Jagmeet Singh, who is the NDP Justice Critic for Bramalea-Gore-Malton. And to my left, Mr. Calvin Barry, former Chief Crown Prosecuting Attorney for about 17 years now, has a very flourishing private practice as a criminal defense lawyer. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today here in the studio. Civil liberties, when you talk about civil liberties, you think about freedom of speech, freedom of religion. In the United States, you also have freedom to bear arms, a little different than what we have here in Canada. Recently, in Toronto, Metropolitan Toronto Police have been experiencing some flack, if you wish, because they're being called out for being racial profiled of particular groups that they're trying to fight crime with, and now being forced to issue tickets to people that they speak to. Where does that line stop? Where does civil liberties stop, and the protection of us as a society, and the infringement on your own personal rights? Civil liberties are a discussion today. So I'll open it up to you, Calvin, first. You've been on both sides of the law, not from the standpoint of behind the bars or not, but on both sides of the law as a Chief Crown Prosecuting Attorney, which is representing the Crown, working on prosecuting people who have been charged in allegedly created criminal activities. And now you're representing those people. You are a defense attorney. Where do you see our civil liberties either being infringed or reinforced here in Canada, particularly with the current discussion with Metropolitan Toronto Police?
Well, there's been a lot of changes. I mean, 1982 is when the Charter came to be in Canada. The states have had it for hundreds of years, but I think that there's a lot more scrutiny and police are being held a lot more accountable than they were 25 years ago, and that's probably part of cameras and video and technology and the media, and it's a big police service in Toronto. It's the fifth biggest in North America. Mm-hmm. So when you have a big kind of macro force with a lot of power, a lot of expectation from the public that they're going to be doing things right, doing things legally in accordance with the Charter, there's going to be a lot more to deal with in terms of issues, and the courts are going to have to settle it. And when there is a Charter breach or there's a unlawful arrest, then people are going to be held accountable. I mean, a good example of that is in the papers you've read about. There's this whistle blowing now. The Attorney General has to report if a police officer is found by a judge to have been deceiving the court. Right. I mean, that's kind of pushing towards, in a way, civil like kind of civil libertarian type aspects and accountability of the police. And I think it's all good. I think that they got a tough job, and they're usually right, but they have to be accountable for all the power they have. I mean, they got a right.
Wow, a defense attorney who just said that they're usually right. We want to save that piece for the Christmas reel. Jagmeet, I want to go to you. You're a justice critic. How does all this? How does this all apply to your bailiwick? I mean, we've seen that the Conservatives now are talking about building more prisons, making a difference in their sentencing. How does civil liberties play into your perspective, particularly from the NDP's perspective as a justice critic?
Sure. I mean, I think there's two kind of issues to balance here. I mean, one is when we look at crime, there's certain people that need to be punished. There's certain people that need to be put in jail that are too much of a danger to themselves or too much of a danger to public. But by and large, the idea of putting people in prison is a flawed system inherently. It's wasteful. You're putting hundreds of thousands of dollars to put someone behind bars when you could use that same resource, that same money. We have a limited pool of money. Put that toward education, put that towards job training, put that towards housing, and you would see a great reduction in crime. Crime is clearly linked to poverty, and the more we can work towards addressing poverty, we can work towards addressing crime. When it comes to some of the issues like you brought up with the Metropolitan Police and the racial profiling aspect, one of the big issues is that it's not good police work. If you had,
you can't say that.
It's not good police work
because you can't say that. You can criticize.
I'll tell you what it is.
And I'm not trying. I'm just saying fairly here. You can't say it's not good police work.
No, good police work is this, where you have a directed goal, you have a specific allegation or a specific issue that you're trying to investigate. You're trying to gather the evidence to make a case. Now, if you just cast a net and randomly stop people, that's not good police work, because that's not directing your resources efficiently. That's not managing what limited precious resources you have. That's just casting a wide net. That's not good police work.
Casting a wide net. I'm gonna capitalize on your casting a wide net comment, and I'm gonna float a premise out here. If you are an angler and you want to catch fish, you do not go to the center of a lake at high noon when the sun is up and throw a line down 5 feet. You are not going to catch any fish. If you are an angler, you are going to select appropriate time. Probably going to fish in the weeds. I mean, I worked with, from Dave Mercer's of this world, Facts of Fishing, who's a good friend of mine. You go into the weeds if you want to catch fish. You go at later in the day or early in the morning. The police department is trying to find out either who these people are who are in the area, and they're trying to combat crime. So casting that wide net is how are we doing anything positive by regulating how the police can go and investigate? I mean, racial profile.
It's not investigating though. When you just
they're collecting information.
You're just stopping people
What
randomly.
do you have to hide? Well, why is it if you are in a prone area, there's a systemic problem in those areas where the community doesn't participate?
The problem is that there's particular issues that need to be addressed. If you just stop everyone, you're wasting our taxpayer dollars. That's not good police work. Good police work is finding out, investigating. It's like your example with fishing. It's finding out where the fish are, not just going out and stopping every single fish. You have to go out and find where the fish are that you want to catch, where they're located normally, who the fish are that you want to actually get. That's what good police work is, finding out what the issue is in this area. Is it particularly drug crime? Okay, which type of drugs are being sold, where are they being sold, and who are the culprits? Not just stopping anyone who walks by. That's a complete waste of money. That's not good police work. That's not using our precious tax dollars in an effective manner. We're seeing more and more that police budgets are increasing year by year, that they're the largest budget in any municipality. That's not sustainable. There has to be a way to rein in spending, rein in costs by having good police work, which happens all the time. But stopping random people walking by is not good police work. That's not the way we can use our resources.
Interesting. There's a stat that says 70% of crime is imported into communities. We have to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to hear from the legal side of it. Calvin Barry's going to chime in. You're watching Left and Right. My name is Michael A. Charbon, and we'll be back with more right after this.